So, hello everybody, and welcome to today's ODTN use case team. I think everybody's on the agenda. Please update your name if you didn't do yet. So, first point on the agenda is that I've looked up all the ONF Connect call for proposals. There were a few talks submitted for the ODTN track, and I take a pass at them, and we reviewed them, and we started putting together a track, and that will be announced fairly soon in on day 2 of the week. So, and it will contain like an overview, a demo from Nokia, a talk about Cassini from NTT. I think there is also a talk on the disaggregation of the controllers in general from Telefonica and Nokia. There is a talk on using ODTN for 5G backhaul. So that's something to look for. There's a TAPI talk from the people at TAPI Group. So that's good too. I was still waiting for Stefan to submit a proposal about the possible relationship with TIP, but as far as I know, that did not happen, or at least to the best of my knowledge, that was not done yet. I spoke to Jay from Infinera last week at TIP, and he couldn't say anything about this specific topic. So I don't know what we will do. I think in this case we will skip this presentation from Stefan, and I might give some update on the TIP-related efforts myself in my presentation. That is going to be the start of the session in the afternoon. Okay. Any questions on ONF Connect in general? I forgot to mention, we just announced in the morning a plenary talk from Dai Kashiwa from NTT Labs talking about ODTN. So that's going to be a plenary talk in the morning to put interest in the ODTN project and into the ODTN track. So that's something that I personally look forward to see all the people listening about our project, which is good. Okay. Any questions?
Yes, maybe when will it be announced, I should say, the final program on ODTN track with the presentation and the demo?
Bill, do we have a date, an exact date?
Yes, the 26th will be the day that speakers get announced. There may be a preliminary track layout at that time, but probably the track layout is going to continue to evolve a little bit after that date.
Okay, but yes.
Because it's to it is just to map with the early registration case and to see if it's not too late in order to enable booths that are selected to organize their mission there.
No, I think the 26th is when you will get the notification, and I think the early registration is up to the initial days of November, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so today I'm having a conversation with Sadef, who's organizing the show. We're going to decide how to send out notifications to all of the people that have sent in proposals. And again, the 26th is this Friday. So in the next 2 or 3 days, everybody will know what talks have been accepted.
Okay. Thanks, Bill. So,
okay.
So second point on the agenda, are there any other questions regarding ONF Connect? Okay, if not, I'll go forward with the second point on the agenda. That's the OFC demo proposal, which has been submitted by myself. And the the deadline was extended to the 9th, so I might look at having a couple more points included that were shared by Dominique and Juan after the initial deadline of October the 8th, if I'm not mistaken. So it was extended. I might include some of those comments. I was also invited on two other things, which I forgot to put here, on at OFC. So one is a workshop on network disaggregation. If I'm not mistaken, the title might be a little bit off, but on optical network disaggregation, sorry. And I'm going to talk there about the ODTN project and our current approach on white boxes and open source software. And I was also invited on a symposium about network automation, and in specific, to give a talk on intent-based networking. And there I'm going to cover all the possible, the different uses that we do in ONOS with intents. And one of them is the optical intents. So I think I'll share some update about ODTN also on that workshop. So I think this is a good place to share what we are currently doing. Any questions?
That's great.
Okay. And then we can organize maybe OFC, the different, maybe a meeting at OFC or something for anybody that comes and is involved in the ODTN project. We can organize it maybe at a later time. After ONF Connect, I can put myself behind that. So big news is that as of the 15th of October, TAPI 2.1 was released. That's a big news. That's something very important that we all been looking forward to. And thanks to Lyndon and Karthik, and partially myself, we put together a TAPI 2.1 release announcement, which is linked in the agenda here. And you can take a look at it and see what it says. I think it overviews what TAPI is and what you can do with it. There's a couple of links, and I think it was very important to put an ODTN link over there too. So that's there. With the timing, I was wondering if there is the possibility to have a quote about the possible use of TAPI, actually the use of TAPI with ODTN in future deployments from NTT and Telefonica. Arturo, Hiroki, any thoughts on that?
Where were you planning that we can, let's say, quote this? You mean to make a public release, a public announcement or something like that?
The idea is yes, to post it on the public ONF channels, and very much like the ODTN Phase 1.0 blog post. That's kind of the same idea.
Okay, I will discuss it with Victor and Oscar, and then I will come back to you.
Okay.
Yeah, and let me discuss internally as well.
Okay. I will send an email to you guys about this maybe later, and see what we can do about it too. So send email for.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, then, thanks to the work of Hiroki, we have updated the northbound of ONOS to the Transport API 2.1. That means that on the northbound, we can now accept TAPI 2.1 connectivity requests and based on TAPI 2.1 Yang models. That's great. That's great effort. I went through the review. I think it's good by me. I wanted a couple more people to take a look at it. Hiroki, do you want to share any more detail?
Sure, and just the most part of the TAPI models are the same with the previous version, but there's some minor difference between them. So I updated these kind of minor issues, and also updated the ODTN phase 1.0 implementation to align with the TAPI 2.1. And in my local environment, the implementation works well, and the tests are completed. So I like to check and review these patches, and please approve the this patch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Hiroki. Something that I would like is, if it is possible, Juan/Dominique/Arturo, could you test this on your in your lab and see if it's okay?
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna test this later.
Okay, thanks. I might send you an email to follow up on that and make sure that the test went through properly. Okay. So thanks, Hiroki, for that. As soon as we get some tests done, I think we can merge it, and that's pretty good news. So, after any questions? Okay. If not, I will share an update on the next point, which is the Telecom Infra Project Conference. So, as some of you might know, I went to the Telecom Infra Project meeting in London last week. I particularly enjoyed the conference in the sense that it was a very interesting set of people. I met some people that I've never met in other European SDN and optical related events, which was great, I think. And it was a very new environment in the sense that it was different from layer 1 to 3 the previous week, which I went the previous week. And it was also somewhat technical, more technical, and very, very much focused. Very much focused on the different projects. So in particular, I went there for the Open Optical Packet Transport group of TAPI, which for short is OPT, which is a group in TAPI, not in TAPI, in TIP, that works on optical projects. Their main contribution as of now has been a set of discussions around APIs and around the use of OpenConfig, OpenDevice, OpenModem. But more than that, two key contributions that they have made is the Voyager and Cassini white box transponders, which we will talk a little bit more about later, thanks to Hiroki. And also a tool called GNPy, which is a physical simulation environment through which you can plug in information about your network and obtain the best optical setup for that specific network. in order to achieve end-to-end connectivity. For now, they just released phase 1, which is completely offline, in the sense that it does not attach to any existing NMS or controller. It just sits as itself, and the user feeds information to it and gets back the optimized paths and installs them on the network by himself. What I've been discussing here at TIP with this group was the possibility in the future to include it on top of the ODTN platform. During the OOPT breakout session, I presented ODTN to this Open Optical Packet Transport group, and people were very interested in our efforts, especially around standardization of APIs, both northbound and southbound. TAPI was very well received as a northbound API, and partially as a southbound API towards the OLS, even if there was some discussion about what is the correct boundary between something like TAPI, something like OpenROADM, something like OpenConfig, because and Open Device from Infinera, because some of those started overlapping. So my standpoint when the question was asked is that we found the TAPI to be what the operators were looking for, and a proper solution for our current needs. Obviously, I engage with the groups over there in the OPT more for a start of a possible collaboration in the future. And also to engage with them in order to unify the discussions mainly, and not have two groups that do the same thing into opposite directions and waste a lot of effort. In general, the ODTN project was very well received as an optical disaggregation use case. Also because there was a talk and the introduction of what is called CANDY, which is an acronym for, I forgot, which is an umbrella project of Telefonica and NTT that spans across the whole network, meaning transport, backbone network. I might be able to fetch that information. Just give me a second. Oops. No, not this one. This one. Okay, so yes, it's a converged architecture for network disaggregation and integration. That's what it is. And it's, as you see, led by Telefonica and NTT. And in general, this is a much larger project, and I think that ODTN could fit in there and help them as an exemplary implementation. Also, by being a tip, it was very good discussing with a few people, namely ADVA and Infinera and Coriant, about a possible OLS inclusion for phase 1.5 of ODTN. So as you guys are well aware, we are searching for a TAPI compliant OLS for ODTN phase 1.5 deployment. And both the people at Infinera and the people at Coriant approached me with a possible solution, in the sense that we are discussing one of their products as a possible selection for ODTN phase 1.5 OLS controller. And also the people from ADVA have a solution based on TAPI for the OLS, for the OpenLine system. So I am in talks with them, and I know some of the operators, meaning Telefonica and NTT, driving the ODTN project, are also discussing with many of these companies. So I would like to hear your feedback about what would be the best course of action for ODTN phase 1.5 OLS choice. Because I could go forward by myself as ODTN leader with some of these companies, and the first one that steps up and offers us TAPI compliant, reasonably new TAPI compliant OLS, I could go for them and do the demo at ONF Connect with their OLS system. Or if you have any suggestions, I would like to hear them in order for me to reach out specifically to some companies that would be of more interest to NTT and Telefonica.
From my side, the three companies that you mentioned are the ones that they were in our mind to be the possibilities to implement the OLS in ODTN. In fact, we already have been discussing with ADVA regarding this. We were planning to have a call this week before this meeting, but it was possible to do it, and finally we will have it during this week, Thursday, I think. We already approached them. We already proposed to them, let's say, the possibility to join, and they are evaluating it. Basically, their concerns is that well, they were asking for more details specifically about when it was going to be, let's say, necessary that they were having implemented the TAPI 2.1, which was the set of functionalities that they needed, and for the documentation point of view, they asked me if there were something that we could share with them in order to have it is written, let's say, a set of requirements or the plan, the use case, and so on. Then I was going to ask you if you consider that the reference design document it was suitable for this task, or if you think it will show them one of the presentations that are available within the community. I think that they should have access to, but I don't know if they are well following directly the call, so probably they will not have
Okay.
exact directrices.
Okay, so thanks for that. I think that the whole reference design is not yet ready to be shared. I'm gonna have a presentation at the TLT this week, tomorrow actually, about it, and so that is not ready to be shared. But we can share the TAPI part of it. I mean, I'll make sure to create a document that extrapolates the TAPI part and TAPI requests and that we are interested in, and I'm gonna send it over so you can share it with the people from Alpha. So
That would be perfect.
it's good to hear that you're working with them. I have to reach out and follow up with them about this this possibility. I'll maybe also do a follow up with you more for more details on an email.
Just I wanted to complete the comments about this. In my opinion, I think that one OLS vendor is good, but two is even better. I mean, more than one step up and say they want to participate and so on. From my point of view, it will be better because we can align, we can have, let's say, more discussion on how to implement the use cases, and probably it's going to be more richer the results that we are going to obtain. That is just only one, let's say, doing a I don't know, a dedicated implementation for the project or for the demo event that we want to showcase this. Say that, let's wait for them to step up. We will continue our discussion with ADPA I will suggest that if you have access to discuss with people from Infinera and Coriant, it will be great too.
And I don't know how many of you guys are aware, but actually Infinera and Coriant are the exact same company now.
Yeah, yeah.
Meaning that Infinera bought
But
Coriant. So
yeah, but as the teams probably they are still split, maybe I don't know. It's just, maybe
yeah.
still different people who is necessary to talk about this. But yeah, I know.
Okay, so Hiroki, any comments? No. Hiroki, can you hear us? I think
Sorry,
you might-
mute is muted, and totally I agree with Arturo. And in Japan, in the another project which going in Japan, and we are considering to use Infinera and Adobe, and maybe you know, and it is very welcome to support and use some topic component APIs and operating systems, and to move things forward
Okay.
with ODTN.
Okay.
Andrea, I have another
Yes.
concern. Maybe some of you can clarify to me, which is the status right now regarding the implementation of the SBI PRS conf TAPI in ODTN controller in ONOS.
So at the moment,
Done things.
we do have all the structure up to where the details of a given system are needed. In the sense that, if I'm not mistaken, there is the structure to create the optical intent. There is the structure to translate the flow rules to whatever call is needed for REST. There is the REST southbound to make calls through REST APIs and expose a REST device, which I would expect the OLS to come with a RESTconf REST interface for TAPI. So I think the structure is there. As soon as we can get something that we can work with, I think we can start creating the implementation, and that for the specific OLS, or in the sense, or in general TAPI, and that could enable us to move forward.
So speaking a bit into the code, the device provider will be the existing REST that is already existing, and it will be just necessary to create a new driver within the ODTN driver.
Yes, that would be my assumption.
Okay.
So there would probably be a need of creating a driver for.
What about the library of TAPI that is already integrated at the NBI, at the northbound interface, is reusable at the southbound as well?
That's a good question. I believe the models we are injecting into the dynamic configuration store and the translation we are making it to the Java objects can be reused. Hiroki, any thoughts?
Yes, and we need some modification of the current implementation of the TAPI related classes, but we can use this kind of implementation to the southbound implementation.
Yeah, okay, that's good to hear.
Yeah, I wanted to just evaluate a bit which was the, let's say, the effort pending on this development part, because I was not very sure about it. Okay, that's good. Sounds
I think some efforts need to be put in, and I think we should do it as soon as possible. Obviously, we will need somebody to develop it, and I'll think about like who can be the best person to do that. But the key points are present. Obviously, we will need to make sure that the end-to-end provision works, and it's obviously not tested as an end-to-end system yet. I know that in the past it has been done with TAPI 1.2 implementation, if I'm not mistaken, from an ADVA OLS, thanks to people at CreateNet. So I know it has been done and can be done again. It's just that we would probably need a few implementation of the classes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so I will follow up with Infiniere and Agva about this. My target, if possible, would be to have it as part of the demo at ON.Lab Connect. I know this is somewhat of a strong target, and we might not get to it, but if possible, I would like to have a complete 2-transponder NOLS system by ON.Lab Connect. And the people I spoke to at TIP were not completely saying that it is impossible, and we would have to look into the exact details of the implementation as soon as we get a possible device that we can work with, meaning an OLS. So I will keep everybody posted on these discussions, and I will follow up personally with Arturo about the ADVA talks that they're having with Telefonica. So next up on the agenda, and a very important point about our future of the project, is the integration with the Cassini transponders. I've met.
Sorry, excuse me, Andrea and all. Yes, I just wanted to raise the voice, but I didn't want to interrupt you on the previous point on OLS discussion. In fact, I am in contact with our business unit on our Nokia OLS controller that is named NFMT. And in order to understand the roadmap for TAPI implementation, what I understood is that we cannot have a TAPI implementation ready for ON.Lab Connect 2018 this year. But this is on roadmap, and the earliest version that can be, I should say, released from Nokia is not before February next year. That's why it might fit with some demonstration for OFC, but unfortunately for ON.Lab Connect, I fear that it will be complicated from Nokia OLS controller. But however, I'm very glad to hear that Infinera and ADVA have one, and especially set in contact with Arturo in Telefonica, lab. That's why it might be also a great achievement that we can pursue on that. Let's see.
Dominique,
thanks for the said before. Go ahead, Andrea. Then I speak.
Thanks for the clarification. I think that, as we said before, having more than one or two or three or whatever, many, I would say many, it's great. And I think that for OFC, we can definitely look at having more than one, and having a deadline in February 2018 is great. That's great.
It's a maybe, Andrea,
That's
because
okay.
I'm speaking from the feedback I could report to you, and it was really mentioned maybe, and it will depend on the progress of the implementation. Yeah.
Sure. No, I completely understand.
Okay.
But I think is that as soon as it is ready, we can look at integrating it with proper drivers.
But anyway, to ensure you that this is in the roadmap of the development, the software development in the Nokia product. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Arturo, please. Sorry to cut you off before.
My comment was going to be I mean, it was going to be very similar than the one that you said, so nothing to add.
Oh, okay, thanks. Okay, so next up, as I was saying before, the Cassini box. So some of you might know this is a first white box, fully disaggregated transponder that includes a set of different type of optical line cards and a set of Ethernet interfaces that are controlled by a Tomahawk chip. The white box, the design was contributed to TIP by EdgeCore, and at the TIP meeting, I met the whole team who worked behind it, which is also part of the reference design of ODTN, Delete, for example, from EdgeCore. And I also met some of the people from NTT and IP Fusion who are working on getting together some software for this white box transponder. I know Hiroki has been in contact with them, and please, Hiroki, can you share more detail?
Yes, and IP Fusion is now implementing the operation system, which will run on the Cassini box, and will provide the northbound interface with OpenConfig to ODTN. And in the last month's meeting, and with IP Fusion, Murakami from IP Fusion, I heard that now they are implementing, integrating and transport abstraction interface from TIP and to manipulate the white box DSPs. And I heard they will finish this integration in the middle of this month. And this week I have a meeting with Murakami from IP Fusion again. So I checked the current status of their integration, and after that we can start the integration with ODTN using OpenConfig towards the ONF Connect
Yes.
from this week. But yes, and the biggest problem is that they don't know the use case and how to implement the OpenConfig and how to use OpenConfig to configure their devices. So I'd like to introduce the ODTN use case about the OpenConfig to them, and discuss about the detail, how to implement the application logic of the northbound interface of the Cassini device.
So,
Andrew, can you share the defined design documents, OpenConfig?
yes, I can.
Related things. Can I share it this week to the IP Fusion guys?
So I think that I already did share it with them.
Oh, okay.
So when I, just for the benefit to everybody, a tip, I met this group of people and I explained them the simple use case we're trying to make for the transponder, which is a cross connection between a line side and a client side port. Obviously, having the Tomahawk chip in there, you could do much more on the client side port. But at the moment, we're not looking at doing that. We're just simply looking at doing a cross connection, so bypassing the Tomahawk chip in and out, and then down to the optical line and out of the device. So I explained that to them, and I think I sent them the document with the OpenConfig models that Arturo shared that we created out of the reference design. So I think I shared that with them, and I've updated them to the document. If that is not the case, I will share it again. But yes, please, Hiroki, if you have a personal meeting with them and I did not share it, please do so. I'll make sure to do it tonight or tomorrow morning, but please do share it during the meeting, and that is part of the reference design, which we can definitely use. Is that okay?
Okay, thank you. I got it. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay. So next up is the state of the drivers. Hiroki, can you share more information about this, please?
Yes, and Entity Lab and Entity members are now and they finished to implement and test Infinite Driver, and they now the drivers are under reviewing as a Garrett system, and then Rama and Andre and Yuta gave us some comments for this patch, and now they're fixing their implementation. And I'm sorry, I don't know when we will be ready their next patch. Maybe they can upload the next patch in this week. I hope so.
Okay. Yeah, there were some comments both from Arturo and from Utah. One question that I have is that can I maybe engage in a discussion with them on some specific implementation details that might arise from their devices, from this device thing? Or should I go through you?
Yes. Currently, it is implemented for mainly inferior XT600 transformed driver, but we're aiming to use this implementation to other OpenConfig drivers.
Mm-hmm.
So we implement them basically as a general driver component.
Yes.
So please review this patch from this kind of perspective.
Okay. Yeah, great. That's cool. Yeah, I'll have to take another look at it and maybe give some of my feedback too. I believe there is nobody from the Metro Hall project. Am I correct? Yes, that is my correct assumption. So I would skip.
Sorry, Andre. I want to add one more thing, and from the OpenConfig model has some problem when we want to integrate with dynamic configuration subsystem and the ONOS too, because there's lots of young containers or lists which have the same name like config or state. So we have to elaborate the implementation, how to integrate this model effectively. And our and the Entity Lab's current implementation is one. I think it is one option or one good option to support OpenConfig models using dynamic configuration ONOS too. So if needed, let's discuss about the how to integrate and implement this OpenConfig CAN drivers.
Okay, so that approach is currently in the patch.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
Yes. Then I will review the patch with a specific eye to this topic, to the fact that we need to integrate it into the DCS2, and we to like have the possibility of duplicating the name of the node of the containers at least.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. No problem. I am going to skip the Metro Hall because that is something that the people from Metro Hall are not here, so I'm not gonna discuss something that I don't know. The only thing I know as an update from them is that they were working on implementing a suggested path in the optical, at least exposing the suggested path in the optical intent, and that's gonna return useful to us in ONS implementation. So that's pretty good. Okay, I think these are other points that are kind of there just as a reference. Any other points that you guys want to discuss? Anything I forgot and should be mentioned? I know Lyndon sent me an email. Let me go check what that email is about. Oh, okay. It's just adding Lyndon's name to the list. Any other points? No? Okay, so as a follow-up, what I will do is that I will follow up with Kwan in order to make sure that Hiroki's TAPI 2.1 conversion gets done and tested also on the Nokia devices in the Nokia setup and Telefonica setup to make sure that we are okay on that side. So, and then we can merge that. I will follow up with Hiroki and Arturo as for the quote. So please, you guys, check internally what needs to be done and if this quote can be achieved for a TAPI 2.1 release. I will pull in Timon's loan from ONF into this discussion, so that's good. I will follow up with Arturo about ADVA integration inside the ODTN project with their OLS and inside the Telefonica labs. And I will also create and share a TAPI document very much alike the OpenConfig document that we created, which is an extract of the reference design. As a side note, I forgot to mention before, if everything goes right, we will announce a partner, meaning kind of everybody, not a partner, member release of the reference design at ONF Connect. So many of you could access the full document at that point. That's good. I will continue my personal discussion with Infinera and Corient to see if they can step in and fill the gap of the OLS we're looking for. I forgot to mention, Jay from Infinera was suggesting that if we want to get this done by ONF Connect, they could provide us with the Groove OLS, which is a Corient OLS, which already exposes a version of TAPI, if I'm not mistaken, TAPI 2.0.2. And we could use it in ONF Connect. I'm following up on that personally with them, and will keep you guys posted. I will make sure I shared the OpenConfig reference document with the Cassini box integration. And if all goes right, the demo that I plan to have for ODTN at ONF Connect is having two Cassini boxes as two transponders and an OLS made or from ADVA or from Infinera Corient in the middle. I know it's not that far away, ONF Connect, and this is a pretty hard commitment to have, but I believe that some of the pieces are coming together, and I think we can do this live demo with two edge core devices and one OLS there. Another option would be not to have the OLS if it proves too complicated to achieve, but just the two Cassini boxes, which would be still okay, because it would be the first use of a complete white box transponder in there, so that's good also. If that doesn't go through, what my choice would be is not to have no hardware at the venue, because it would be, in my opinion, too difficult to ship anything else from like Infinera or Nokia or others. I think we will do a video demo of an existing deployment outside of the ONF. Would that be okay with everybody?
Yes, that'd be great.
Fine to meet you.
Okay. So I will follow up on that, and I will share more details about it during the next meeting. And if anybody can, please review this patch from the guys at NTT and see if it can be used both as a general OpenConfig implementation of the southbound for the OpenConfig models, and also as a way to inject multiple containers with the same name in the configuration subsystem. Okay, anything else you guys want to discuss today? Okay, so if not, I'm gonna share a brief update about the reference design, how the TLT accepted or looked into the reference design in the next week's meeting also. So thanks everybody. And I'll see you next week, and I'll do the action points. Thanks, bye-bye.
Thank you, goodbye.
Thank you.
Thanks.